Hi, I'm Yazmin and welcome to another episode of Last Drinks Tasmania. Join me as we kick off another huge day exploring this beautiful state. After a huge first day in Launceston, it's time to continue our travels. But before we do, there's always time to get some brunch and a strong coffee, especially on a beautiful day like today. Every time I come to a new city, the first thing I do is try to find where has the best breakfast. And I found this great place on the water in Launceston. It's called Stillwater. We had a massive day yesterday filming and we've got another jam-packed day today. So I've got my coffee and I'm going to have a big breakfast to get me set for the day. Nestled on the banks of the Tamar River, Stillwater provides visitors to Launceston with a huge range of tasty dishes and Tasmanian delicacies. On a sunny day like today, it's the perfect spot for a long lunch and to take in the impressive surrounds. Thank you. Looks amazing. I have ordered the green bowl with Tasmanian salmon. This is an absolutely perfect way to end our time in Launceston. I'm going to dig in. So, with full bellies, we head off to Devonport to continue our journey discovering some of Tassie's best spirits. And my first stop is to catch up with Grant Hirst at Southern Wild Distillery, situated right in the heart of town. Grant, thank you so much for having us here in your little distillery. Tell me what led you to the gin distilling world?
Oh, that's an interesting story. My business partner, George, has been interested in distilling for many, many years. And I was here doing a development, in fact, for Devonport. And this mad professor came in and said he wanted to build the distillery. Okay. And once I got to know him, I realised he was actually a genius. And so George and I formed the partnership to go with and make gin, probably about 6 years ago, effectively, when we finally made the decision to start.
And why gin? Of all things, what led you to gin?
Well, gin is such an incredibly new product in a world where it's really an old product itself. It's changed so much. Coming down to Tasmania, Tasmania has so many unique talents and skills about it and products. And so it became very obvious that gin is a really good one to show those botanicals up. So the decision was really led by George, because George actually came and showed me some of his products. We decided we were going to be a gin business, and that's our focus.
Yeah, right. And your location is beautiful. We're in Devonport, surrounded by absolute beautiful nature.
Yeah, and not only that, it's in the northwest region, so it's actually the wild part of Tasmania. I mean, Tasmania is known as wild, but this is even wilder. And you don't have to go very far out of here to see some incredible landscape, mountains, waters, seas, you name it. Not to mention that the actual produce here is unbelievable in this region.
Yeah, definitely. That's something really special about Tasmania, isn't it? It's that everyone wants to use what's around because it's so special.
Yeah, and the northwest is even more special. I think it's in the top 10 in the world. And you actually plant anything here and it grows beautifully.
Right.
It's amazing. The soil looks like you could eat it. That pure air, that pure water, the fact that we've got water coming over 16,000 kilometres from the nearest landfall. It's just amazing what arrives. And so that water is what we use as part of our product.
And this is your still, the number one.
It is.
One and only still that you use.
It is. George, my business partner, actually designed this. This was the first one designed this way, so it was under his own specification, built in Tasmania. and it's now been duplicated a number of times.
Tell me what's special about the design?
Everything about it is it's in style. It's got capability of both pot stilling as well as vapour infusing. It's got some very clever little aspects to it that we don't talk too much about.
Okay.
But basically, it allows us to really bring in some lovely little nuances in every product if we want to bring them in. It works really well.
Yeah, okay.
And it's an 1100 litre still, so we can produce a lot of gin.
Yeah.
And we're always using new botanicals in the region from our growers or ones we've found, whatever the case may be. So it's very Tasmanian in everything we do. And being a product of Tasmania is just uniquely loved around the world. So we've got to live up to that standard, and we do. We make sure we have great gins.
Yeah. And you've got a nice, beautiful little bar attached to your distillery there, which I'm sure we're going to taste some gins soon.
We do.
I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, we get a lot of people coming in and doing tastings, and being in the middle of Devonport, where the spirit of Tasmania comes in, it's actually effectively the last place a lot of people come to here at the distillery before they get on the ship. So
which is great.
It works
Nice and easy to find, right in the middle of Devonport.
Yeah, exactly.
Come and have a drink once you get off, or once before you're about to get on the spirit of Tasmania.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, nice and easy.
From day one, we've always had many producers coming to us with products saying, can you use it? And we test them. We test those products all the time. And a little later when we're doing the tasting, I'll explain how we use that model. But effectively, you never know what we might be able to use. So if it's a strawberry gin, it's a strawberry that's come from Tasmania. If it's a raspberry, it's a raspberry. It's always going to be from Tasmania, that core product.
Yeah.
But it will always be different. It'll always be seasonal. You get a change in the weather will allow the product to slightly change because it does. It does. If we use seaweed called wakame from the East Coast. There was a drought the other year and the seaweed was slightly different. Okay. And we allow that slight difference to occur in the product. We're really proud of the fact that every bottle we have is a taste of Tasmania. That's what we plan to give them.
What does the future look like for Dash & Fisher?
Well, if you went back a year before COVID, we were about to launch in England. We actually had Harvey Nichols department store take the entire range, and we had to delay it because of COVID. And so this year we're going to focus on growing in Australia because it's very hard to go anywhere else, so that's where we're going to focus for now.
And I think now we're definitely in a point of time where Australians want to support local and they want to explore what Australian makers and distillers are doing and producing and really support that. So
I think the world wants to do that. But the great news is the world still wants Tasmania.
Yes.
So from our viewpoint, I couldn't be happier to be having a gin out of Tasmania.
Yeah.
The world only knew Tasmania as the Tasmanian devil. That's now changed. It's now moved to the point where everybody wants to visit this place, this magical place.
I don't blame them.
In Hong Kong, I was there a couple of years ago and we did a major tasting with a group and all they could say was, we want to come to the last paradise. That's how they see Tasmania.
Right.
And so, as I say, we've got a lot to stand up for, so we must always provide a product that matches that image.
Now, talking of your gin, shall we go drink some?
Oh, okay. I'll let you try it.
Fine.
Okay.
Okay, Grant, so talk me through your range.
Okay, so our core range is mountain, meadow and ocean. Interesting, if you have a look at all our labels, we have on it what appears to be the mountain, the meadows and the ocean. So it's all again back to that locality issue. We actually launched with 3 gins, which is really quite a risk, but we decided we had to do that. And the reason we did that was because Georgia created these 3 incredible flavours. And they're all very different. But to represent Tasmania, we needed to represent the ocean, the meadows and the mountains. So that's what we started with. Okay, so we'll start with the ocean. Yep. So what I'd like you to do, if you pop up this glass for a second, have a little smell of it first. You'll start to get the saltiness of the sea. You'll start to feel the ocean coming at you.
Definitely.
Right? This is what you might have down at the beach. So what I would suggest is you have a little sip, just take a little sip. just to have a little taste to see what it's like. Now,
That's very fragrant.
it is.
Yeah.
There's lots of fragrance coming through. There's actually rose petal in there. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on in there. And what we're going to do is show you how our gins open up when you add a little bit of tonic. So now have a little taste now, and you'll see that it's changed dramatically.
Oh wow, it's a lot more subtle, it's opened up, still getting a lot of those flavours come through.
Now, if I gave you half a dozen oysters with those, you'd be having a good time.
I'd be very happy.
Yep. Meadow is very much for spicy food, so it's
Okay.
going to be quite different in its process. So have a little taste of this. You'll find this quite a bit different in smell and style. A lot, probably a little harder to take straight. So because it's not how we normally drink them, but it's the way they're tasted. So you would have got a lot of spicy going through there. There's cardamoms and all sorts of things playing there.
It's like a curry almost.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you'll see how much it's changed. This is now, you're going to get a lot more fruitiness and the spicy coming through as well.
Amazing.
It's really good, isn't it? So that's a beautiful drink now. A lot of people come in here who say, I've never tasted gin. Once they have a gin and tonic of the Meadow, they go, oh, I think I could drink that. That's okay.
Yeah, and your aromas and flavours come through
Absolutely.
very strongly.
Yes, yeah.
They're not subtle.
No.
Yeah.
And this is ruby grapefruit peel. So all we're doing is allowing a bit of the spray of it to come in, and having a little smell of it now, what it's done to it, even doing that.
Tartness of the grapefruit.
Yeah.
It's like a completely different drink.
Then this one, the Mountain, is actually our big, bold London dry gin. This is the one that won in Hong Kong.
Okay.
And is very much is the one that you would have as a G&T. It's been built as a G&T.
Okay.
So have a little taste of it. Now you're going to get, this time, the pepperberry is going to come through. So you're going to feel a little bit of heat in the back of your throat when you have this one. It's a very different drink to the last two you've had.
Ooh, that's
It's totally different
warm,
again.
pepper,
And yet those same botanicals are in there that we talked about. The three are in all of them. So
definitely lingers a lot longer as well.
Now have a little taste now we've added the tonic, and you'll see that this is starting to settle into the drink, that it's really easy to have.
Oh yeah, the tonic smooths it out. That's a dangerous one.
So this one, take a bit of rosemary, and press it to release the oils, and then you'll see what that does to this one too. This one is a really interesting change.
Oh, so fragrant.
And so that's why we struggled to do anything but open with three, because they are so different and they just represent the landscape beautifully.
Yeah, that's such an adventure.
Yeah. Right, now we move into our flavoured gins. Back probably 2.5 years ago now, we had a major fruit fly problem down in the northwest. We actually couldn't sell any fresh fruit because one fruit fly came down in a mango from Queensland, and they just stopped all ability for us to sell anything.
Oh no.
So we went to a local strawberry farmer and said, let's see what we could do for you. And what was produced was a strawberry gin. Have a little taste, have a smell of it. You'll just smell strawberries. It's just a beautiful, beautiful.
It's like smells like a strawberry syrup.
Does,
almost,
yeah. It's just a gorgeous drink. And what's interesting is when we do add tonic,
you don't get the gin at the beginning. It's sort of just the strawberries, but at the end, the kind of
that's
gin
right.
flavour comes through.
Now though, you see what happens here. The actual flavour isn't lost, but the sugar content's dropping because we've added the tonic. So have a little taste now.
It's taken away the sweetness and...
But keeps the flavour.
But keeps the flavour, yeah, 100%.
So that actually is I call it our party gin because it's just fantastic. Strawberry and bubbles is actually an absolute perfect drink with this.
Amazing, I've loved it. Thank you so much.
No problem. All we want to do is make sure people taste it because they love it when they taste it. We'll keep making it. Hopefully people will keep buying it.
Definitely. Thank you so much for today, Grant.
No problem.
I'm happy.
After a great day with Grant and the team, our time in Devonport was nearing its end and would soon be time to start heading south. But not before I took one last look at Tasmania's rugged and majestic northern coast. I'd never visited Port Sorell before, and sadly we couldn't stay long because after a night here, we're off to our next stop in nearby Sprayton. Just a short drive from the centre of Devonport, Sprayton is also the home of fourth-generation family business Spreyton Fresh, whose offshoot business Spreyton Cider is one of Tasmania's finest cideries. Today, I'm catching up with Marcus, who's promised to show me around.
Marcus, thank you so much for having us here at Spreyton Cider.
No worries, you're welcome.
You're one of the managers here, and you're going to take us through a bit of a tour through the orchards, which have a really long, rich history of growing apples here in Tasmania.
That's correct, yeah.
Excellent. And then a little bit later, we're going to get to taste some of the ciders.
Yeah, I'll show you some ciders, so the difference of the ciders, give you a tasting and see which one you like.
Fantastic. Shall we take a little walk
Yeah,
through?
definitely, yeah.
So tell me about how long has this building been here for?
So we started 8 years ago to start ferment cider, and eventually we hired Damien, which is a cider maker, and we built this factory.
Okay.
So back then we only had the factory itself, so we didn't have the cafe yet, we didn't have the roof yet. So we only had the factory in a sort of a tasting room, a cellar door. And over the years, we just saw like there's more potential in obviously tourists in the cider tasting trail. So we started to extend the building and put more seating there and make it like pleasant for tourists and get some more people in to do tastings and eventually also to have a food van to offer food options as well.
So people can come in for a drink and have something to eat.
Correct,
have some cider.
Yeah, correct. So they have the whole cider tasting experience. So they can overview the apple orchard here. They can obviously at lunchtime eat some food and enjoy the cider as well. Yeah, so basically Spreyton Fresh got founded in 1998. So two families came together and started, because they both had apple orchards, they started to make apple juice. So known for their juices, but also known for their orchards. Then we started to make cider and also started to make non-alcoholic cider. And now, since 4 years, we also started to make ginger beer. So that's the newest non-alcoholic and the alcoholic ginger beer. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And so you just keep expanding?
We keep expanding, or like we keep growing. Like back then, 8 years ago, we started only with 5 types of cider. They're all traditional dry. Over the years, we saw that more people are into sweeter, sort of contemporary ciders. So we extended our range, and so we have around now 10, 11, with special releases, 10, 11 different ciders. And yeah, we're still trying, experimenting, and try to extend as well.
Yeah,
definitely.
Great. So the orchards have been here for how long?
The orchards have been here for a very long time.
A very long time.
So it goes back sort of four generations on both families, which are part of Spreyton Fresh. So the orchard around here in Spreyton, part of Spreyton Fresh, they've been in the families for a very long time.
Yeah, fantastic.
So we got another orchard up here. There's a few orchards here up the hill. Mainly we have eating apples, which we pick and produce, or like produce with. And these ones here are cider apples, and we have another orchard up here where we also have cider apples, which basically give the cider itself a great character. So it's the bitterness and tartness which are in the cider apples, but they're not really meant to be eaten, so they're not the most tasting apples.
Yeah, so if you were just to eat a cider apple, it's going to taste a lot different to
so
an eating apple.
Usually they're quite bitter. They don't really look nice. Some of them are really small, some of them are really big. So they're not the really nice and tastiest apple, but give the cider a really great character and taste.
Does it take a long time for the tree to start fruiting from when you plant it?
It takes 1 to 2 years to slowly get started. So planting apples is not like a quick job. Obviously it takes time to plant it, but it also takes time to get the fruit out of it, which you really want. So it takes a few years to get the fruit. So these apples are still very small, so they're not ready yet. They probably will be picked end of February to March. Last year we sort of have a late season, a very good season. So the crop was really good, the fruit was really good. So last year we had sort of good and fruity apples.
Okay.
But yeah, the Kingston Black, this apple here, doesn't go as big, so they're usually a bit smaller anyway. Although we have some other varieties down here which are fairly big, so once you pick them, like the back picks up really quickly.
Oh, okay.
Because it's just the apples go.
Oh wow.
Big. Yeah, so
okay.
Not great for eating apples, but these are cider apples, so that's why they get juiced and we make juice out of it, which we use for cider then.
I'm going to try one of the apples, which I don't...
you can do that.
Yeah, it's an eating apple, not a cider apple.
It's an eating apple,
yeah. Okay, and I can just pick the juiciest looking one?
So they're not ready yet. You see like the size, just very early, the color. They're not ready for another few months, but you definitely get a little bit of taste out of it. I can also give you a little...
It's still really juicy.
It is, yeah. I mean, you can eat it.
What do you think?
It's still quite early.
It's still early. But it's good, it's nice. You don't often get the opportunity just to pick an apple off the tree and
to
eat it nice
in
and
a
fresh.
few months, like, I mean, there's so many apples on there, so you definitely get a taste of it.
Yeah.
But we're still a bit early, so.
Yeah. Okay, Marcus, which ciders and drinks are we going to try?
Yeah, so I'll dish you up for samples. So we're going to try a dry cider.
Okay.
One of our sweet contemporary ciders, ginger beer, and also got you a non-alcoholic apple cider.
Okay.
Just to sort of freshen it up at the end.
Okay, perfect.
Let's start with the first one. The first one we've got is our vintage cider. I showed you the cider apple before. So the vintage cider is a blend of cider apples. So it's quite dry. It's bottle fermented in a traditional way. So that means that all the sugar which is in the juice, in the fruit, turns into alcohol. So there's actually no sugar left. But it's quite dry. Give it a go.
Okay.
See what you think about it. So it's sort of a bitter, tart taste.
Yeah, definitely.
Like sort of a dry wine.
Yeah. Tart.
Tart, definitely
Yeah,
the right
but-
word. So the cider apples give the cider good characteristics, like the tartness and the bitterness, and that's what you can see in here. But it's a selection of different cider apples, which you just saw before in this orchard here. Cool. So we switched to the next one, which is our sweet apple cider, one of our contemporary ones. Here we start basically cutting it back with juice. So we have a dry base. It's a base of eating apples, and we cut it back with our Sprayton fresh apple juice to sweeten up. So we don't use sugar or concentrate. We only use juice to make it sweeter.
Okay.
So also, as more juice we add, as less alcoholic it gets. That was 7.5%.
Okay.
And that's 5%. So as more juice we add,
difference.
it gets sweeter and goes down in alcohol. So it's one of our most popular ciders. It's very easy to drink on a nice day like that, a nice Tassie summer like that.
It's really light.
It's like, yeah, it tastes light. It's still 5%, like in comparison also to beer, but it's a light and refreshing taste.
Yeah.
Especially in comparison to the driest one we have in our range. But yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice. It's very refreshing.
Right, so we go away from the apples.
Okay.
So we got also we're also a ginger beer maker. So that's our hard ginger beer, which is 3.5%.
Okay.
So it gets a bit lighter in the alcohol volume, but it's a very nice and refreshing ginger beer. Also nice on ice, but also especially enjoyable on a nice day like that. See what you think. It's quite clear.
Oh yeah, it is very clear.
So there is still a settlement in the bottle. So once we get to the end of the bottle, it gets actually quite cloudy. So preferably I should have turned the bottle a bit more before I give it to you. Okay. But it's still the same taste, but it's quite clear on the start and gets a bit cloudy. It's just a settlement at the bottom.
It's like it's a nice light ginger.
It is, yeah.
Not overpowering.
Yeah, correct.
At all.
Correct. So it has a good balance in it.
Yeah, it's very balanced.
And yeah.
It's delicious.
Awesome, glad you like it. And then we finish it off with our non-alcoholic apple cider. So it's still a fermented drink, so that means it still goes through a very short fermentation process, and it gets carbonated, so it's sort of like a apple spritz,
okay.
apple juice spritz, but still as a fermented drink.
Yeah.
So it's non-alcoholic and enjoyable for the drivers, for the kids, for everyone which doesn't like to drink.
I'm sure it goes great in cocktails.
Oh, it's good to mix.
As well,
yeah, it's
as a
definitely
mixer?
good. Yeah, it's definitely a good mixer. So also, nice and refreshing, good drink during the day.
Very appley.
And very appley, very appley. So just got the
like
strong taste of the apple juice in it with some carbonation
with
in
a
it.
bit of sparkle.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Marcus, for having me for the tour, for the tasting. I'm going to go and have some lunch now.
Definitely. Enjoy.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
With a reaffirmed love for apples and a few for the road, we left Sprayton and started the 3-hour journey to Tasmania's east coast, stopping at our next location in Coles Bay, the gateway to the Sprayton National Park. Finishing today up after another set of amazing adventures across Tasmania. Tonight we're settling into Coles Bay, but first I came to meet the guys at Geographe for one of their legendary pizzas, along with a local brew, Malting Lagoon. So I'm going to dig into this, enjoy the sunset, and I'll see you next time. Next week on Last Drinks Tasmania, it's time to get out on the open water and explore our surrounds, including the world-famous and aptly named Wineglass Bay. And we finally make our way to the cultural hub of Tassie, the harbourside city of Hobart.